I'm Photo Dave, and this is Toy Photography News. Well, hello there, folks, and welcome to Toypixx, a channel dedicated to helping you and helping me get a whole lot better at our action figure photography. So, if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and click subscribe while I describe what's going on today, ladies and gentlemen. Today is like every other Saturday where I talk about toy photography news. I break that down into action figures, dioramas, props, weapons, and I even fire off a little editorial at the end. This week's editorial, well, how could it not be about the Ghost Rider HasLab? So, let's just get cracking, shall we? Just like every other week, we start this week talking about action figures, and there are 4 criteria when it comes to action figures that I will be discussing on Toy Photography News. Number 1, they need to be 1/12 scale or robots. 1/12 scale, it's a scale I collect, and I dig robots. Easy, right? They also need to have great articulation. No waist cuts here. They need to be complete figures. There need to be hands, there need to be heads, they should have the accessories that are supposed to come with them, all that good stuff, and highly important, and something that maybe I don't get across enough, they gotta look like the character that they're supposed to look like. Pretty easy, right? So with that said, let's do this. Kicking things off, we have 2 figures I know absolutely nothing about with the Square Enix Products Final Fantasy VII Bring Arts, Tifa and Aerith. Now check these 2 out. I'm going to explain a little bit of what I'm talking when I say no waist cuts, all that. If you look at Tifa, you can see sort of in the waist where it's sort of concave. You can see the skin kind of going into the skirt, sort of at an angle there. It's not coming straight down. So my thought there is that's going to be a little bit of a ball-jointed waist. There's also another picture here where you see her kind of bending back slightly, and then one where she's bending forward slightly, and it looks like both of those bends are happening at the waist. That's why I think that Tifa looks like she's going to be pretty photogenic. She also, because of that short skirt, she's going to be able to kick high, she's going to be able to move very well. They've got great dynamic poses. If you are into Final Fantasy VII, Tifa looks like she's for you. Now, as for Aerith, I'm a little sketchier on. Not because I think she looks bad at all, but because she doesn't have a waist cut, she's not able to have where the dress lines up right up front here. It's got that very clear line. That line is going to break up when she moves. Now I look at this and I think to myself, with that dress, maybe there's not much she could do at the waist anyway, but at the same time, if that dress were flat all the way and there were no seam, I'd probably look at that and say she's pretty photogenic. She does have to cut up the side so her legs can move. I'm not sure how I feel about the permanent windswept look going on at the bottom of the skirt on the left side, but your mileage may vary on that. Either way, I think they're going to look good, but if I'm saying one is photogenic and the other's not, Tifa, who also comes with 3 additional hands, an additional portrait, and a stand, is more photogenic than Aerith, who comes with 5 additional hands, a staff, an additional portrait, and a stand. Maybe she gets those extra accessories because she doesn't have that waist swivel. Who knows? I don't. But anyway, there are those 2 figures. From Executive Replicas and Loose Collector comes the 1/12 scale She action figure. I'm trying to learn how to pronounce that. I'm working on my Japanese. I know that I totally blow it. Don't hate. I'm trying, because I like a lot of the import stuff. Anyway, I'm digressing. Now, before I forget, here's what She comes with. She's got 3 pairs of hands, she has 2 interchangeable heads, she has a naginata, which I believe is the spear thing she uses, she has a hakama that's removable, or hakama, not sure there either. I believe that's the skirt piece, because as I look through these pictures, that's the one piece that seems to just be off. She also comes with 2 sai and 2 katanas. I know those ones, thank you Ninja Turtles. Now, as I'm looking at her, she is a very cool figure, but I will say I'm not sure that I would consider her all that photogenic. She meets 3 of the 4 criteria. So don't hate, I'll explain. There's no waist movement whatsoever on this figure, and the way that she's made, she could very easily have some put in there and hidden. Now the reason that's a problem is because there's sculpted musculature. If there was no musculature, it wouldn't be so bad, but where she can move her chest kind of like this, a little around, all that good stuff, that was a very accurate description, by the way. Oh, movement. She can't follow it with her waist, so there's no line that follows as she does something like that. That's what Mafex and even McFarlane Toys get right with the way that they joint things up. Now, I will say, however, she moves very well everywhere else, and she looks insanely accurate to the source material. I am impressed with what Loose Collector's been doing with these figures, and I hope one day to just sit down and start messing with them, because they do look good. And if she looks good to you, go ahead and pick her up. Add her to the old collection. Hey, come here. No, seriously, come here. Do you like Dragon Ball? Do you like Broly? If you answered yes to both of those questions, you, my friend, are SOL, unless you're going to this year's New York Comic Convention. That's right, on Thursday, pre-orders went up for an exclusive Broly from SH Figuarts that you'll be able to pick up at the Tamashii Nations booth. Here's the trick. You had to sign up, you had to do all kinds of crazy little registration things, you had to pre-order it, and you have to be going to the convention to get it. Now here's the deal, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to pick it up on the secondary if we really dig it, but just so you know, I don't like talking prices, but this bad boy is starting at $90 for the pre-order, for the exclusive, so you can bet that he's going to be jacked up on a pretty penny when it comes to eBay and other online retailers. So just be prepared. If you want this figure, then you're going to probably end up having to pay through the nose. Unless, of course, you're going to that convention. He does look cool. He comes with 3 total expressions, like faces. He comes with 3 total pairs of hands. He comes with last effects. Ooh, or an effects piece. I don't remember what it said. What's important is this. He looks cool. And Dragon Ball is one of those lines that, once Toypixx really gets cranking, I'd actually like to pick up a few of those figures, because they all seem to be pretty photogenic. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Either way, I needs to know. Coming to the ThreeZero DLX line is the Age of Ultron War Machine 1/12 scale. Now, let's be honest, 1/12 scale is kind of fudging it a bit. According to the internet, War Machine is 6 foot 1 inches tall, and that is War Machine. That's not James Rhodes. That's the fully armored up dude. Now, in the comics, he's 6'6", but here's the deal. 1/12 scale here, when I'm looking at this, he's 6.9 inches. Now, if he were an accurate 1/12 scale, he would be less than 6.1 inches. So you have to kind of play with that a little bit. He's nearly an inch taller than he should be. But he's ThreeZero, so I kind of feel I have to talk about him because I'm really digging their MDLX Transformers line, and I know that this stuff just looks and moves incredibly well. He comes with 4 repulsor effects, 2 little cannons, and 11 total hands, making for a pretty stellar, pretty movable, awesome-looking War Machine if you're into that whole movie figure kind of thing. I kind of do like movie figures, I just don't really pick them up. Folks, it's time to talk about the Robotech VF-1S God of Flame with Fast Pack Armor. Let's be honest, it's Jetfire from G1 Transformers. Therefore, those of us who grew up in the 80s, we want this. I've in fact been avoiding talking about him because I want him. But as a pretend responsible adult, there is no way I should get this thing. All kinds of movement on this bad boy. LED lights, interchangeable hands. Look at the pictures. This thing is incredible. The only problem I have with it is for the price, which again I'm not going to bring up, but it's going to make me sad, is only a half an inch taller than the MDLX Optimus Prime I have. That means he's about 7.5 inches tall. And that's a hefty price tag for that, but good lord, it's a pretty old school Jetfire. Is it not? Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. No, don't tell me I'm wrong in the comments. I'll know you're lying. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the action figure portion of Toy Photography News. One thing I wanted to bring up about that Jetfire-looking Robotech is that they're only making 2,688 of them. So if you want it, go grab it. And then later on down the line, when you decide you don't want it anymore, and it's still in its box, of course, be sure to get a hold of me and sell it to me for around $5. Yeah, that'll work for... well, me. Maybe not you. As always, I'll be sure to leave product links in the video description below. Those will be affiliate links, so if you buy something on any of those sites, I'll get a cut. I appreciate it. Now, onto the Dios. From Vasco Toys, or Vasco48_SC on eBay, we have the 1/12 scale terrain action figure diorama. Now, this is one of those dios that makes me happy. Why? Because I look at it and I see all kinds of possibility. I see throwing every kind of figure imaginable on this thing and just making them look awesome. So if you have action figures that you need to throw in front of a rocky dio so that you can take some incredible shots of them, check this thing out. Because hey, who doesn't want more dios? Besides your wallet. From Geekstyle Dioramas, also on eBay, comes the 1/12 scale Stone Ruined Stairs action figure diorama sized for your Detolf shelves. So, check this thing out. Again, what caught my eye is the fact that you can use it for a whole lot of things. You can even fire characters back into ancient Greece, ancient Roman times, all kinds of good stuff with that. You can fire off your mythic legions in there. You can do something with the gods. All kinds of cool opportunities with a dio like this. In fact, if you get on Etsy or eBay, you will see that there are a lot of dios made for the Detolf cases. Because as we all know, even if some of us don't have them, Detolfs are basically every action figure's perfect display stand. So, check out those Detolf cases and then get in and grab some of these dios because they're perfect for them. And that was that for the dioramas, but now we're on to weapons coming in hot, which is something I should pull a Ryan Ting with and use that for the Ghost Rider chat I'll have later. Missed that opportunity. Is the Valaverse weapons packs with the Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie sets. Here's what I dig about these. First off, I have one Valaverse figure. I really like it. There's a couple things articulation-wise I wish they did, but when you talk about a complete action figure, these things are 110% complete. They're incredible. And they're solid. They're constructed very well. The weaponry looks great, which is why I'm pointing out these weapons packs, is because, again, we're looking at 1/12 scale action figure weapons with a ton of them, with blast effects. They're painted, and I have to imagine they're going to have the same awesome construction that the Valaverse weapons that came with Duster have. So, check these things out if you're looking for a gun pack for your action figures, because frankly, rad. Next, I feel remiss, folks, and here's why. I have super action stuff, and I haven't talked about them on this channel. I don't think. I might have said something, but if I did, it was in passing, and that's not right, because this stuff is very cool. The one I'm talking about specifically is their Bag of Violence. I have this, I have their other set that's been released. They're coming out with another set that includes a coffin and a crossbow in case you have any of those Mafex Huntresses on pre-order. I'm going to have to pre-order a whole new weapon set for Mafex Huntress, aren't I? But the coffin's cool, and so's pretty much everything else in the set. The point is, pick this stuff up. It's not insanely pricey. It's very cool. I use it for my Joker for a lot of it because it's got a spiked bat, it's got an aluminum bat, it's got a big fireman's axe, and it's got a crowbar. You know Mr. J needs a crowbar, right? Anywho, definitely check these guys out. All kinds of blast effects, all kinds of gore effects, a lot of blood splatter. It's good stuff. I might maybe need to be checked in somewhere. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was that for the weapons. That's right, I'm flying tonight. Don't forget, links will be in the video description below. Now, for the props section, I want to bring up two creators who are working collaboratively to give us the coolest action figure heads on the market, bar none. Fight me. Or don't, because just like last week, I'm still fragile. Those creators are Fanplastic 4 and Casting Cave. Now, I'm not 100%, but I believe it works like this. Fanplastic 4 gets into his 3D modeling program, models these heads, then he prints them in his 3D printer and sends them to Casting Cave, who paints them up to look absolutely glorious, to be perfect heads that we can just swap in and pop on to our favorite action figures. And while I'm talking, I'm just highlighting these things. I'm putting up images, and I'm just in awe as I'm looking, because I've already scanned the iPad, I've checked this stuff out. I knew they were doing this, but it's been a while since I've checked out the Casting Cave website, which is where you can get all this stuff. Again, link in the description below. So if you're in the mood and your wallet's not going to kill you, get in there, find the proper heads to replace that not so great head that you have on that action figure that is driving you nuts. You know who you are, and you know which action figure I'm thinking of. You don't, because really I'm not actually thinking of an action figure. But you thought I was! Haha! I'm gonna stop talking and just move on to the editorial. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for this week's editorial on the Marvel Legends Ghost Rider HasLab. Now, check this out. I'm not going to be talking price. I know! But what I will say is we all know how HasLabs work. Either at this point we've decided it's worth the value and we've backed it, or we're going to make sure we can back it. We've decided that nothing they could do could possibly make it worth the value that they're providing. Or, and I think most people probably fall in the middle, it's going to depend on what happens with the tiers. Subjectively for me, I'm out no matter what, unless I end up finding a gig that makes it so I make a lot of money, and I'm able to pick this up just so I can talk about it for the channel and then sell it on. The fact is, Marvel Legends figures don't interest me because of their waist cuts, and these ones aren't even complete. They don't come with extra hands or anything like that. So I would basically be paying $350 for a Hell Charger that's not a Charger. But the one thing we are going to talk about when it comes to this editorial is the guts it took to go with this particular Ghost Rider HasLab. Now, there are 6 reasons I believe it took guts to release this HasLab Ghost Rider right now. The first one being, even Marvel fans, let's be honest, all you Marvel fans out there, don't know tons about Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider's not an Avenger. He's not an X-Men, he's not in the Fantastic Four, he's not Spider-Man, and if we're talking about the past HasLabs, he's nowhere near Galactus tier, and there were the 90s kids that grew up with the X-Men that wanted the Sentinel. He's nowhere near Sentinel tier. He's just not that well known, and when I'm talking not well known, I'm even talking the ones that rode their motorcycles, much less Robbie Reyes, who, well, that leads into point number 2. The second reason I think it takes a lot of guts to be releasing this right now, there's no real nostalgia here. If Robbie Reyes' first story was published in 2014, and we assume that kids that were reading that story around then, or maybe they were 10 to 15, which makes them today 18 to 23. Now, I don't know about all of you guys, but for me, 2 bags of ramen and a Snickers bar, that was a good dinner when I was 18 to 23. These people don't have the money for this thing. The third reason this is a gutsy move, There's really no crossover appeal here. When people were talking about this on the forum, they were discussing the Charger and thinking, well, if they make it so it's just a black Charger, then people from outside of Marvel will want this vehicle. The problem is, it's not a Charger. It's a Charger-ish, but it's not a Charger, so you're not going to get those die-hard car collectors coming in that people were speculating might come in to pick this bad boy up. Yeah, things are getting tricky. The fourth point, there's not a lot of army building potential here. Yeah, you're going to get some nut jobs that are going to be like, oh man, I can get this for this character and this for this character. Again, they're not actual Chargers, but they're Charger-ish. They can sort of do the job. So I can see some people snapping up a few of these, but overall, they're not the Sentinel. They're not the Hiss Tank. It's a Ghost Rider, and it even looks like the tiers will likely be individual characters. There's no army building potential here. That, I think, that can hurt some sales. The fifth reason, I think this is kind of a gutsy call, because again, not a ton of people really know much about Ghost Rider, and even fewer know about Robbie Reyes, at least when it comes to the ones with nostalgia bucks to spend, is the fact that Eternia is coming from Mattel. We don't know when. It's not like it's going head-to-head, and if I'm Mattel, I don't put it head-to-head with this, but there are going to be those people thinking with their wallets and thinking, do I really want a Ghost Rider that I don't know much about, or do I want Eternia? You're basically saying, look, at this point, you have to decide whether you're a Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider fan, or if you're a Masters of the Universe fan. And so I think people are going to be thinking about that a little bit. Which camp do I fall in? Because most people probably aren't going to be able to swing both. And finally, point 6 is the conclusion that points 1 through 5 lead to, and that is that at a time where goodwill toward Marvel Legends, at least on social media, seems to be at an all-time low, Marvel Legends collectors and flippers are being asked to fully fund this bad boy. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I believe this particular HasLab campaign takes a lot of guts. There's something I'd like to add here because it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. When it comes to sales, you can either try to persuade somebody into purchasing something, or you can try to manipulate them into purchasing it. According to Dave Lakhani, the author of Persuasion, The Art of Getting What You Want, yes friends, when you kind of do your own thing, you have to read books like that, the difference is intent. The manipulator doesn't really care what you feel about the product, they just want the money. The persuader, on the other hand, wants you to be insanely happy with the product, so there's trust there, and they'll keep coming back. Now, when it came to, I don't know, teasing characters such as Mephisto, for instance, who was very clearly in that one image that they showed in the video, it felt like you were trying to be manipulated into purchasing this thing. Because, hey, these are figures that we couldn't release any other way, except, maybe you could just put it up as a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, but what do I know, So that really left a bad taste in my mouth, sitting there saying, hey, I know you fans have been clamoring for Mephisto for years, but here's how you're going to get him. You're going to get him by paying $350, so if you really just want him, well, hey, maybe you can sell everything else. It just felt slimy to me, and for that reason, what I'd like to see happen is for Diamond Select to say, you know what? We have a Mephisto right now that's going for like $200 on the secondary market. Let's just re-release that while this campaign's going on. Just to bust the manipulated tactic a little bit, because yeah, I usually like watching those three, but that felt slimy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is this week's Toy Photography News. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everybody, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.